Hey there, welcome. This is the second part of my thorough walkthrough of I Want a Lockpick, where I will be explaining the logic to every puzzle and how to solve them. And hopefully this can help you solve future puzzles or just get you through the tricky parts of the ones that you're stuck on right now. As per usual, I highly recommend that you actually play the game and these levels first, even if you can't beat all of them. But if you just want to watch someone explain the levels, well, you're in luck. There will be timestamps for each level in the description, so feel free to hop around as you need or just watch it all the way through. Completely your call. Spoiler warning for, I guess like bulk doors. It's really the only unique mechanic that was introduced in World 1 that isn't in the base game, and they're already not that complicated, but like, I don't know, I guess go watch part 1 if you want to deep dive. It's not that deep though. Regardless, I'll be assuming that you understand all the mechanics that have come before this world well enough. If you don't know anything about them, then go watch part 1, like I said. They're pretty simple, but whatever. Let's just get into the new stuff. This first one is just another tutorial level, unsurprisingly. It's demonstrating master keys. Master keys can open quote-unquote any door on its own by just pressing X and walking into it, which disregards the original key cost. Besides the obvious of this is how you use master keys, this level does also show that you have to think which doors to use a master key on. You can't just use them willy-nilly, and which you should just open normally. Obviously here it's a very simple logic. If you spent your master key on another master key, you'd have made no progress off of that, just a neutral trade, when you could instead open the door for 2 whites to get the master key normally, which can open the other 2 white door, while using the remaining one on the final door. Similar to the end of the previous level, you can immediately know that spending a master key for a master key is worthless, so you can just ixnay that possibility immediately. Just getting the 2 orange first would also be pointless, so you use your master for 3 white, and then looking ahead, there's no point in saving your white keys, so spend them on the doors here. And since you need 2 master keys to get past, you spend your oranges for a second master to get to the middle, then if you went for the 6 white right now, they'd be useless and you'd be stuck. So you can instead make a couple neutral trades to move towards the 6 white door, and of course then go get the 6 white to get the final master key to leave. The first useful observation for this level is that all 4 of the doors at the top required to get to the exit are mandatory master keys, since their colored key isn't available. And you can then see that since there's only 4 master keys spread across the rest of the level, you can't use any of them besides the one you start with to actually get across the pyramid in the first place. Thus, because of the master keys being forced uses along the other 3 tunnels, you'll have to go through the bottom middle to start by mastering the purple door. Any combination of opens thereafter will work as long as you're just prioritizing going through that place and doing neutral opens where possible. It's pretty standard logic, I shouldn't have to guide you through that at this point. And then, as previously mentioned, you'll have to use one of your master keys at top to actually progress, which will give you a white key. Now, while there is 2 options to use it here, the top one could be opened via white or green, while the bottom can only be opened via white, so logically you just use it on the more limited option. And then the moves from there are just no-brainers and you get out. This one is very similar to Count the Locks from the last world, but now you have master keys, albeit only 3 of them. This one is definitely a bunch trickier though, because it actually takes some logic, or outside of the box thinking, to actually get it. What helped me the most was considering what if you didn't use master keys in certain places. For example, if you didn't on either route in the first column, it'd be impossible to get across. You'd be lacking in one key or another by the end. So you have to use 1 at least in the first column. And obviously you'd have to go bottom route because it's just cheaper at that point. Thus, after mastering the 8 door, that will set you to 2 master keys and 8 whites. Moving forward, the middle path seems promising, of course. 1 master key and then only paying 1 white to get through. That's a pretty good deal normally. This would set you to 1 master and 7 white, but then looking forward to the final column, neither route could be gotten past while still having 3 white in tow. However, if you just had 2 master keys here, you could easily get past the 5 and 6 doors. So, at the end of the day, the real solution is, rather than using any master keys in the middle row, you can instead just take the bottom route, which only costs 5, setting you to 3 white keys, But now, having 2 master keys, you can just bust through those 2 doors at the end and have exactly 3 to open the final one and leave. The introduction of blank doors. It is something that can only be opened when you have 0 of the key, no more, no less. It's another tutorial. It demonstrates the idea of leaving something behind, like a door in this case, for later, so you can use it on something further down the road to, in this case, open a blank door. Can't imagine needing to play-by-play here. Moving on. This one's definitely one of the hardest so far. You can immediately exclude the possibility of using the master key on a 1 lock, as that would just be pointless given everything is in even counts anyways, so that narrows down its use case to any of the 2 oranges, or the blank orange. If you wanted to use it on one of the 2s towards the end, you'd already be at 0 orange by then, and with no other keys regardless of what way you got the purples, so that won't work. However, if you use it on one of the ones near the start, then you'd have no way to actually get past the blank orange, meaning also an invalid route. Thus, the only place to use the master key would be the blank door. This also means that you know the 4 orange keys are a first pickup, because otherwise you can't get past the end gate. And of course, since the only way to the 4 oranges is via 4 purple, you also know that you'll have to get at least more than 1 of the purples behind the whites being accessible. And moreover, that you'll need to spin the 2 oranges for the 4 white keys at the bottom left. Now, the only way to actually have more than 1 purple behind white available after crossing is by going through the top route. So, putting it all together, you grab the top 2 purple keys, master key the blank door, grab the 4 white, grab the 4 purple behind the whites, grab 4 orange behind the purple, and leave. This one's actually a pretty simple one, thankfully, just a count the keys situation. You only need to spend 15 of every key, and the easiest one to pin down is definitely white. Since there's only 2 odd-numbered doors, both in the same area, you know that you'll have to go down over there to actually get rid of everything, which also means that you'll be going down to 12 cyan and 14 orange, no matter what. The 1 white is useless, since that just gets you back to an odd count of white, so you know you'll have to find the 12 white elsewhere, and that can easily be gathered by just the 8 and the 2 doors. That does force another -2 to the cyan, meaning you effectively have 10 to work with on that front. Now that white is solved, orange is easily solved from the 12 and 2 doors that are freely accessible. The only one that could have mattered is the 6, but evidently we don't need the 12 cyan door either. And lastly, we need to get rid of 10 cyan, which is easily done with the 4 and the 6 doors. Or if you're feeling fancy, you could also open the 2s and 6s instead, but whatever works for you. While I logic this one out for the sake of the video, it definitely sounds a lot more complex here than it actually is. This can be one of the hardest levels in this area easily, if you don't notice the big thing that actually makes it really easy. So, for the master key, you need to spend 1 batch of each key, for a total of 9 keys. However, there is literally no way to make a profit or even break even on that deal. Every door you could open with that master key will give you at most some combination of 6 keys back. So in short, the master key is completely useless. It's bait. It's a red herring. That, of course, also means the top route is useless, and because you know that that is all pointless, you can pretty easily just go back and forth through the remaining 3 rows until you're just down to those last 3 areas and can leave the level. One of the few levels that actually has no master keys here for once, so it's just us and some numbers. You got a good few first moves to start. The 24 door is useless currently, obviously, so we just head past that, past a couple doors. And then since there's a blank white door that we'll have to get past, you have to take the 2 white keys first and move past it. Then you'll double back for the 4 white to actually move forward. And now our goal is to get to 0 orange while having some way to get down to 1 white. Evidently, the only way to get to an odd number is by opening the 3 white door and not taking the 5 afterwards, so we'll have to get to 24 orange as well. You can obviously exclude the 2 8 oranges in the blank one, as they're just completely irrelevant for right now. The only way to get more oranges without having to lose some is from the 8 white door, so you know by process of elimination, or noticing that it's a neutral trade for orange, you can open the 6 orange and 2 white door, go up and then open the blank white door, take all the keys, and then open the doors for the 8 white and 2 orange to grab the 2 remaining orange keys, then open the 24 door, and then you'll be at 0 orange, and you can grab the 4 white keys, which sets you perfectly down to 1 after opening the 3, and you can exit the level. The big feature of this level is the blank door, which is necessary to access 2 doors/keys in the bottom right. We'll keep it in mind, but for now, we just kind of have to ignore it. So the ending requires 2 cyan keys, and none of the rest. While the blank doors don't really help right now, the 2 cyan is quite useful for pinpointing what we need to do. First of all, the cyan at the bottom requires 3 purple keys at once to open, which is physically impossible to acquire, as out of the 5 purple keys you can only have at most 2 at once. And since the only way to get purple keys to progress are gated by the cyan, you'll have to spend 2 cyan at the top right there to progress. And moreover, the other 2 cyan are also necessary to actually get to the end of the level. And since we know the 3 purple door is useless, the bottom route in general doesn't really matter besides that 1 orange lock providing a door to open. And so logically you instead start by opening the top route and the blank door afterwards. Then it's a fairly straightforward chain of events until you get to the 2 purple keys. Obviously you first do a neutral open, and because we wouldn't be able to access the 3rd purple key and 2 cyan otherwise, we need to open the top left purple now. And then we'll have to think how to actually get the single cyan key to progress. Since it's behind an orange door, and we'll need the purple door to get down to 0 later, we need to grab the 2 oranges to safely cross back and forth. After that though, it's fairly straightforward. Just grab your cyan, go back, grab the purple, spin the last purple, but don't grab the orange keys since they're unspendable. And finally, to get up to 2 orange to grab your cyan, open the single orange door and the blank one directly after, grab both single keys, take your cyans, and get out. First bonus level. If you saw the creator's comment on the first part of this series, then you'll likely immediately be able to see through this puzzle a bit better than I did in the past. As they pointed out, for 1-B, and I never realized, which applies here as well, is, as the description points out, you get a total of 16 keys in this level. And if you look at the layout in general of this level, you will have to open 16 doors to actually leave. And that logically means that you must spend every key, or it's going to be an improper route. The first most obvious helpful part of this is that it means you'll have to take one of the double cyan paths while using a master key alongside your remaining cyan elsewhere. So basically you'll have to take 2 cyan paths. And additionally, you can spy that there's a first master key at the bottom from a red door, meaning you're basically down to only having 1 more master key to find out where to spend. And so for that last one, you may notice that for every pink key, you also have to spend an orange key. And since you have to spend both of your pink keys, you'll have to spend at least both of your orange keys alongside it. Thus, paired with the first orange key on the bottom right, means that you're forced into opening 3 orange doors. And so you'll have to spend a master key on one of these oranges, it doesn't matter which. And of course, now that you have 0 master keys to solve for, you know that you'll have to go for the right route on the bottom 4 paths, and that your purple keys have to be spent at both of their double doors. And lastly, you put that all together and you can see on screen, it leads to the slick exit. This is honestly one of the easiest ones to me. You have a neutral master right off the bat, and then you have to think a little bit, but your gut instinct is probably right here. But for the sake of lodging it out, there's no way to get 3 master keys at a time in this level, so obviously you'll have to get the white and cyan in the top right alongside a master key for the brown door. The only way to get them is through a master key on the 8 door, and evidently one on the 2 cyan as well. Since that cyan door and thus grabbing the 2 pink keys is first, you'll be able to get 2 master keys for 1 if you just wait on going for the pink 2 door, and this is because you'd otherwise have to pay a master key to get past the 24 door, in some sense or another, before you could spend the 4 purple for another one, meaning you'd just be paying a master key that doesn't have to be paid, basically. So, you go for 2 white instead right off the start, follow the chain of command to the exit. It's really not that hard after you pick that part out. So the most useful thing to notice right off the bat here is that there's 4 blank pinks at the end, and since you only have 3 master keys, you know that you'll have to spend all your pinks. Only way to spend 16 is by hitting both 4s, a 2, and the 6, while master keying 3 pink to get to that one. That still leaves 2 master keys that'll be spent on the highest costing oranges, obviously. since there's no reason not to save as many as possible. So, you'd want to open one of the 4 doors and the 3. Only one of the 4s need to be opened because you can just cross freely back and forth afterwards. There's literally no reason to open both. So if you opted to open the top one, you'd have to spend 2 oranges to get there, but you'd have no way to get more oranges, thus meaning this route just can't work. And so, assuming you hit all the pinks along the way as we discussed before, you open the bottom 4 door instead, grab your orange key behind the pink door, then the only way to move forward is more orange keys. You have to grab the 2 pinks and 6 oranges, go off to the left to get more orange keys, remove more pinks, finally clear the last of your pink keys with the 6th door, and leave. The final level of World 2, and definitely the most complex to me, but a very nice solve once you actually find it. First moves are kind of free, there's no reason not to move past the 4 orange door. The end requires a single purple, and thus you can see that some count needs to be acquired that can be brought down to 1 from some combination of 3s and 6s. Obviously you're going to need the 5 as the only way to get to a count that isn't 3-even as they state, and moreover you're going to need something that can go to 1, and the only thing that you actually can get that does that is 7, so also you're going to have to get the 2 purple keys. So looking at that, to actually access the 2 purples, you need to get to 0 after a 1 orange door, which means that you need to open the 2 non-neutral orange doors and the later 1 orange door without taking the keys immediately after to actually get past all of that. And because of that, you'll need to access the 2 orange door right at the start, meaning to progress you'll have to also spend the 3 purples on that door, specifically there, as well as on the one towards the bottom. Then once you've done that, there will be no more orange blanks, so you won't have to care about picking up any more oranges, you can just take them willy-nilly. And of course, make sure to leave the 2 purples for now. Moving forward, you'll need to open 2 sets of 3 purples, one with a blank door afterwards, which one set of 3 you would have already opened thanks to the blank doors being openable at the same time. And the latter 3 keys are just available in the same place that you're going, just behind the 2 orange door. And so at this point it's pretty free, just open your purple doors to get to the 5, take it and the 2, open one of the 6 doors, and take your leave from the rainy Vista. So that one was clearly a step up, to say the least, from the previous worlds. Master keys are quite the deep subject in a lot of ways, as you'll definitely come to know eventually. This is definitely where I've seen a lot of people get stuck to some degree, and moreover, at the very least, it's when they realize that this game is going to get deep. And trust me, it'll get much worse. Which, of course, I only mean that in the best of ways. But this truly is just the tip of the iceberg, and if you've made it this far, buckle in, because it's a long ride to the end. I did also want to give a quick thank you to LA Watson themselves, both for their support on the first part. I was pretty shocked that they actually saw the first part at all, and since it was like an hour after it uploaded at that, but more importantly, because they explained a much cleaner end to 1-B that I had found, which helped me understand 2-A on a much more fundamental level, and it's just a much cleaner solution for both of them, now that I understand that logic. And of course, last but not least, thanks to everyone who's watching and any support that you've left on the series so far. It's quite a fun challenge to make these, because I'm kind of like doing 2 puzzles at once. I'm resolving the game, which it's been a while since I last played it, and I'm figuring out how to actually phrase the logic that I'm going through in my mind in the video afterwards. It's very interesting. Yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Bye!